just going to enlarge my screen here so I can see, make sure I'm in. Okay, right. So this is the snap set. And it has all my favourites on it. It's got the Eiffel Tower and a stamp set. It's got the ticket stamp. It's got a ledger stamp. This is the Ranunculus flower. And I think this is a hollyhocks on here. So that's really interesting. And then we've got a stripe piece here, which is really cool. And then to accompany that, we've got the dies, and you've got a die that cuts out these two images, a die that cuts this out. Then you've got a New Orleans-y type detail. I can't remember what they're called. I'm sure they've got a name. A leaf, and then this is the ranunculus, which I'm not using today, but I have cut one out to just give you a show. So I'll give you a show what that looks like. There we go. Isn't that cute? So cute. Really cute. Right. Any questions? I'll try and look up as I'm going. And yeah, I'm going to show you a few techniques. The other thing we're using tonight is the Butterflies and Flowers Layering Decorative Masks. So in this pack, you've got 3 stencils, like so, and they come out like very differently. Ooh. And then you've got these, which are layering. So I'm going to do that one tonight. And then you've got this butterfly, which when you use ink, comes out like that, which is pretty cool. Just put that to one side. You've got this flower, which when you use ink, comes out like this, which is pretty cool. And this flower here came out like that. Now I was doing it quite quickly, but I actually do like this shadow effect that I've got because it's the inkers, and I've used a blending brush for these. And then on this one, I have seen someone else do it, but this one you've got 3 different size flowers, and then you've got the leaves, and I think you do the flower first and then the leaves, but I wasn't sure. So I had a go at it, but it did this. So I need to play with it a bit further. I've got lines here, so I'm not sure. I think if I used a darker colour here or used a white piece of paper, I could get it a bit more. So those are the layering. So you've got flowers and you've got the butterfly. Really, really, really love that butterfly. So these are in the new catalogue that's coming out in January to customers. January the 4th it will be released, and for us demonstrators it's out now for our pre-sale. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the embossing paste, which is here. This is done by Stampin Up. They do a sparkly one too. I've got the dog coming in now, pacing. And I keep this really tightly on there because it does dry out. And when I finish with it, I will put it back in the plastic bag and seal it. They do go hard if you leave them open to the air for any amount of time. What I like about this embossing paste is it dries quicker than most that I've used. But it also dries like most embossing pastes, that you cannot get it off once it's on things. I'm using a spatula tool that I've had for a very long time. Stampin Up do spatulas. You see there's a bit that's gone hard. And when you're doing this layering technique for mixed media, you don't do the whole thing. You just put a random bit down, make sure you get the edges, and that's it. And basically scrape off the excess, make sure you filled the holes, because you want a good covering. And also if you have a lot of time for it to dry, put a bit extra, because that gives you a bit more texture. And what I'm doing today, the mixed media element, is about adding texture to your work. So the more texture you can put in, the more depth of the work you'll get. So I'm just scraping that in. I'm going to put this paper back on, I'm going to put that lid on really tight, and I'm going to put it back in there. The shimmer embossing paste that Stampin' Up does is amazing. Now, very carefully, just peel that off, and there you go. You have a mixed media piece. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that off my mat. This mat is actually an oven mat that you put in your ovens for biscuits, and you get it from any really good, I got it from a DIY shop in New Zealand called Mitre 10, and it's half the price of the crafting ones that they sell. Now, one moment, I will leave you for 1 second. I need to put this in water, and so you now need to put that somewhere to dry nicely. And I have prepared some earlier. This was the butterfly. This was the flowers, which I've all just done now, and I'm going to use that tonight. And this was the layering flowers. So you can see here I've got a bit of extra texture in my paste, and there, it doesn't matter, but that's what it looks like, and it dries hard. So that's your embossing paste done. Now what you want to do is cover it in ink, and we are going to be using water on this, and we're going to be doing some watercolouring. And so you're going to need to use StazOn, which is an alcohol ink. You'll need a StazOn cleaner. You'll need a baby wipe, and I've got my scrub mat here to do a final clean of my stamps. If you leave this ink on your stamps to dry, it will stain and it will stay there forever. So it is really recommended that as you use your stamps, you clean them. And this is vellum that I'm going to use. So I'm going to stamp both on this one and the vellum at the same time. And using alcohol on vellum means it will dry, because this is quite a shiny surface. And alcohol evaporates, so it will dry. The first thing I start with now is I'm going to build texture through building layers of stamps. So I'm taking my StazOn. I've got 2 dimensionals in the top of that StazOn to hold the plastic casing. If you leave your lid off on the StazOn, it's alcohol ink and it will evaporate. And I'm not particularly being straight. I don't know if you've ever seen old manuscripts and things. Nothing ever gets stamped straight. And what I do is I always do off. Now to demonstrate the cleaning, scrub the top, take a baby wipe. I've sprayed the cleaner on this side, so that's the wet side, dry side, and you've got a clean stamp set. However, I'm supposed to stamp this one at the same time. Okay, so I'll just get stamping. Now, yes, you may say I'm not putting my lid on, but I just wanted to get done quickly. Again, scrub that back, wipe it off with a baby wipe. And you can't see, but I used the scrub off. Now, this may stay wet for a while, so if you do want to stamp over these images, you might need to put some heat tool onto it, or you might need to leave it to dry and then do what you're doing to do next. Whereas on paper it dries quite quickly. So I'm now going to continue to put detail onto my piece. And because I'm not stamping on top of anything, it doesn't matter. Again, it doesn't have to be straight. In fact, anything that looks too perfect on a mixed media piece just doesn't work. It's all about adding layers. Got another stamp here. So this is all part of the set. And, oh, again, I'm not even caring where I stamp. and vinyl. Again, you can't see a lot of what goes on. Hoping that that goes okay. Yep, seems to have want to go over this side. There we are. Right. So that's my second layer onto my pieces. Oops, left that off. So I'm going to actually put the vellum to one side now to dry, and I hope it does, but this will be dry. And I'm just going to clean up as I go, because you know what happens when you want to do something clean. You get it on your fingers and then it's all over your detailed CAD. Okay. So the next thing to do is to find your next pieces. So we are going to use a piece of this. Now, I don't know if any of you noticed on the CAD that I put up on Facebook today, the script was upside down. So this is going to be in the new catalogue. It comes as 12 by 12 and it's called Layering Designs. And this is a sample that I've had. And it's vellum, but it's printed vellum. So I'll just give you a quick squint at that. So we've got text, maps. I actually might use the map next. Oh, hang on, I've got the wrong side. So text, maps, and then it comes in white. And these come in 12 by 12. So you get black or white in those. And it's quite firm. So it's not like using the finer papers that you use in mixed media that you do mixed gel medium to glue down. It's thicker than that. And what I'm doing is just ripping it. And I'm ripping all sides because I know I screwed up. Sorry if Colleen is out there. Love the vellum. Yes, Karen. It's awesome. And it's quite firm, so it makes really good pads. And you can see I've put a rip in it, a couple of more rips in it, scrunching it up. Oh, it's my favourite sort of play. Okay, now the next thing I want to do is I'm going to take my crumb cake first, and I'm going to make some vintage look about my paper. So I'm going to come in, and I'm picking up the ink from the sides because there tends to be a bit more ink around the sides. These are also in the annual catalogue, and I don't hold the head, I let it bend and do its thing. And that way you're not forcing the ink onto the paper. You're just letting it do its thing. And to get more colour, you just keep going. So what I've done is made that a vintagey colour. I'm then going to do the same to my paper. I'm going to age it, so to speak. So a lot of us mixed media and journal makers, we get our copy paper and we brew up our pots of tea and coffee, and we put our copy paper in the tea water, the coffee water, and then dry it out in our ovens and make this sort of paper. So this is actually done for us. And there you go. So the rips are really cool. So that's that bit. So I'm just going to move that over. So the next thing I'm going to do is take my scissors, which at this moment in time I can't find. There they are. And like I've ripped all that, I'm going to age this piece of paper. And you can get tools that do this. You can do it with sandpaper. Don't worry if it creases, because that's what you're looking for. You're looking for aging it, making it vintage. Hi Rebecca, how are you? I hope you don't mind ripping and screwing up papers. So there we go. So what I tend to do now is I will actually rip this on purpose too. And I will scrunch it up and do all sorts with it just to make it look like that. And then I will take my crumb cake one more time. In fact, no, I don't take crumb cake. I will take a dark colour, and I've decided soft suede is my darker colour. I'm using my brown. I have one of these for not each colour, but each set of colours. So I'm using the brown so I can use that straight on. And I'm just going to go around the edge with a slightly darker colour. Oh, look at that nice tear in there. I'm glad you love doing that, Rebecca. So Rebecca's saying that she loves tearing paper, which is cool. You're going to love this set, Rebecca. If you haven't got it, you're going to want it. Okay. So we've now got the base. What I'm going to show you is stamping. And I'm now covered in ink. And we are going to use the Stays On again. And I've prepped my stamp. And these are the Ranunculus. Oh, God, too hard to say. Now what I do with these bigger stamps is I actually turn it upside down. Because it's too hard to get on. Again, cover your alcohol ink because it will evaporate. And push down. Cleaning, same thing. Stays On, clean up. Use your baby wipe, take off the worst. Use your scrub. Sorry, you can't see that in the shot. And off it comes clean. Now we're going to do this one. Am I in shot? Yes, sort of. And again on paper. Oh, we're going to get the cat in here next. So I think that's hollyhocks. And I used to grow hollyhocks years and years ago. Oh, the other thing, just to let you know, is when you wipe that off there, this will get very black. So just while you've got the baby wipe out, just press that in until it runs clear, and you will get it won't look cleaner, but it will be cleaner. And then I'm going to throw that away and get a new one because that's pretty dirty. Always have baby wipes with you when you're doing this sort of work. Right, okay, so they're done. Now, through the power of television, I have taken my die cuts and already cut them out. Just realised that there is like ink everywhere. So what I'm going to do is, before I start doing any more, is I'm going to take this plastic sheet out. Could be a disaster, or it could be okay, because underneath is my nice piece of paper, which will save me from the ink. I'm just going to move it so it's in shot. Okay, right, lovely, that's better. So what I'm going to do is demonstrate now what I do next, which is I'm going to take my aqua painters. So we have these in the annual catalogue. I'm going to take the Just Jade, pick up some ink and just spot it. I'm not going to actually colour it in. I'm just going to do like a watercolour effect where it's just a bit of colour. Like so. There we go. Put some more down there. So this is Just Jade that I'm using. Karen, I'll try and get you a catalogue in between Christmas and New Year so you can see all what's coming. I'm going to use Petal Pink for these. Oh, I don't know if you noticed, I actually cleaned my water painter off on the baby wipe. I'm going to use Petal Pink. I looked up these beautiful flowers and they come in reds, pinks and yellows. And again, I'm not being particularly fussy about how I do it. Just putting a bit of colour in. You want that vintage look. You know, the old Victorians, they just had a block print, so they'd print a bit of colour on. And I'm going to do the hollyhocks in Blushing Bride. You're welcome, Karen. So I'm just dotting some ink around. There we go. I mean, it just isn't glorious, but it's not supposed to be. Okay. And I finished that bit. So they look a bit white, don't they? So we're going to do the treatment that we did on these to age them. And I've got some ink probably left on this brush, so I'm just going to take what I've got left on there, and it just takes that white off. So again, it's aging it. There we go. Okay. Oh, it's a beautiful colour. So I'll just lift those up so you can see them. So like you would get in any vintage set. Okay, so you're not taking out all the white, you're just aging it up. Now I'm using a soft suede cardstock, which I need to bone fold. I'm then going to lay that on there. And I'm going to take I'm going to look at this very closely because my other one was upside down, and see, yep, that's the right way. And then I'm going to put my tape runner all the way in the middle, because the other thing about this sort of work, tape runner doesn't like it, is that you want the sides to still rise. So when you tape it in the middle, you've then got room to then flick it around and mess it up. All about the messing. Then you're going to put the layer onto your card. Ooh, do you think you're going to order the set now, Rebecca? Just making sure I've got it the right way up, because you just don't want... You know what I've done is I've stuck that down. The wonderful thing about tape is you can pull it off. I actually had that the wrong way around, so I'm going to put that down. Oh, to be live. And that's probably what happened before, is that I stuck it the right way, but my piece underneath was the wrong way, and then I turned it around the right way, and well, anyway, there we go. It's done. Clean my fingers. Next, we're going to put some dimensionals on these, and I'm using black ones. Put plenty on too, because you want it to bounce up, and you want it to be, it's all about layering to give you the dimension and the, yeah, it's the depth. You want depth in your work. So by the powers of television, I really like that. I did some die cutting earlier. So there's some of those, there's leaves, there's, I actually did a crumb cake leaf, and with the leaves they come apart like this. So what I did was, before I put my leaf on my last one, is I just pulled it apart a bit, just to again give it that depth. And by leaving some room underneath, you can sort of tuck it under. I haven't left enough, but there we go. That will work. Or you can just pop it that way. There we go. What else have we got? We've got this colour. No. So that was cinnamon cider. I did cinnamon cider, just jade, crumb cake, and so saffron. I want to think so saffron. The muted colours work the best. So we have some really good neutrals. And I'm thinking I want to put that down. Yeah, I do. So what I do is I layer like this first. Before I glue anything. Anybody know what those are called? They're like, oh, the flowers were Petal Pink and Blushing Bride. These flowers were Blushing Petal Pink, and these were Blushing Bride. I don't know what those are called. Florets, are they florets? I like from New Orleans, but they're really cool. I cut a couple of those. And so that's the dark. But just to make it different, we're going to go light, because I've just decided. And I'm going to, nope. So we're just going to use a So Saffron leaf and a So Saffron blade. We're going to put our flowers in, and I might even put the crumb cake in behind that leaf. And all of a sudden it's completely different. And I've using the Early Espresso soft suede ribbon, and what I've done with the ribbon is I've made a bow to go underneath the sentiment, which took a while. So first things first, I like that. I like the look of the So Saffron. I use glue dots just to stick these down, because they're going to be held in place by the flowers. Flowers. A fleur-de-lis. Thank you, Garen. I think it might be, yeah. It does look like one. They're gorgeous. Okay, so yeah, one goes on there, and then we take this one. And put that on there. Perfect. And I'm thinking I'm going to put one of these on this side. I want something there. Cool. Right. So the ribbon I did like this. I just sort of made the shape of a bow. Like so. And then I put a glue dot on the back and pop that down there. Then I took my scissors and put another glue dot under the first bit. Like so. And then I cut And we're going to finish it off with a sentiment. I think that's a bit high. Come down a bit. There we go. And I have used Misty Moonlight on crumb cake for my sentiment, which is here. The spelling isn't correct, so I'm glad you knew what I was saying. No worries. Thank you for sharing your hat like that. There's some cool sentiments in this too. And what I've chosen to use is, I used a square die earlier, but I realised that we have this punch, which I'm going to need to cut some more off, which actually is really cool, because you can cut that out like that, then you take your scissors and you cut the top and bottom straight, as you can, and you've got a ticket, which I don't like, so I'm going to go back in here and make that slightly shorter. Can you see what I'm doing there? And then you've got a pretend little ticket, like so. And I've used dimensionals for that. Oh, getting to the end of my dimensionals. And what I did with this was I put dimensionals all round, because of that ribbon. It didn't like it to stick. So I thought if I put a lot on, it will stick. And there we go. And what I'm thinking is, I've actually put it a little high on the card. And so I'm going to tuck some more things. Under here, just to bring a bit of balance. And I'm also going to put another dimensional under here, like so. There we go. And they have that. So the final thing was bling, and somewhere, you can't see my desk, but somewhere on this desk is the brushed metallic adhesives, and I think these are too shiny, but these ones are quite cool because they're quite matte, so I put a few of those on. So that was the card that I did earlier. So there's quite a difference in that this one's darker, because I didn't like that this was light and this was dark, and I've done it the other way around. So, and this one I used the square die, and this one I haven't torn. That's what's wrong. So I haven't done that with it. And of course you can do it later. There we go, that's better. And so, and this one's got the saffron in it. So that's those. And I've done this bow a lot bigger, which now that I've put the glue dots on it, I can't do it bigger. But you know what? Doesn't matter. It's what it is. And then what you can do is go around and just fold things up and make it look a bit more rustic. Oh, thanks, Rebecca. Love that. Anyway, let's see if our vellum is dry. Okay, our vellum is dry. Let's see if our embossing is dry. it's dry to touch, I would leave that another half an hour. So the embossing paste takes probably an hour to dry, but naturally. And I do recommend that any embossing that you do, it is really good idea to dry it naturally, because it just does. If you dry it with a heat tool, you can sometimes have bubbling, which if that's what you're going for, it looks okay. But if it's that flatter surface that you want with the embossing, it's best to leave it to dry on its own. Anyway, so those are those. What I did earlier was I prepared another card just to put together with the vellum. So this is, I want to say Blushing Bride, but I think it's Petal Pink. Let me just check that one moment. I have all the papers here. So this is Petal Pink. So we're using a Petal Pink. I've used, I think, Petal Pink, and I've done 4 or 5 watercolor layers of dried, and then put more, dried, then more. And I've used the new embossing folder in the catalogue. This comes with the water splash one, which I've used on another live. I'm then going to pop that on dimensionals. Ooh, that's not going to work. And I'm using all my black ones up because I'm down to those last edges. Okay. And I know I've gone over a bit, but I just wanted to demonstrate the vellum stamping with this die set, this stamp set too. Right, oh yeah. Oh, let's try this. So I've done a very small border around that, like so. I'm then going to take this, and again using my brush, just vintage it. So I'm going to use Crumb Cake again because I don't want too dark a colour. I just want a little bit of colour, and I'm just letting my brush do the work. Go. I've used Very Vanilla on the inside of the cards, and I'm going to stamp them later with probably one of the flowers to finish it off. So it's upside down, back to front. Right, okay. Now what I need to decide is, do I distress that or leave it? I'm going to leave it. So I'm going to stick this in the center because I know that that will be, you won't see those with the pink. And I'm going to stick this down over the top of that, like so. And I did prepare a bow earlier, so I've taken just some linen thread. I've cut 2 pieces and tied them in a bow together. I then roll that up. And then I'm going to take, I think I am going to do some bright. Yeah. No, don't like that. And there we go. This is a simple card using the vellum and the stamp set. What do you think, everybody? Are you going to give it a go? It is quite messy. And I have glue dots and ink and water and everything everywhere. So we've used all the stamps off this set, and we've used all of the dies, and that is the mixed media card for tonight. So Crumb Cake is a good colour, Soft Suede is a good colour, Cinnamon Cider, if you want something a bit brighter, will give you a good colour. The dull pinks are really good for mixed media, and I've not brushed that at all. I could have, you know, done a little bit of that with it, just to dull it up a bit. I like that. Yeah, so, oh, you've got the folder coming. Awesome. I've used it on another card. I used the watermark one. So all these live Facebook videos are now going up on my YouTube channel, and I have put links to my YouTube channel on my Facebook page. So if you want to see this in action, you want to replay it, you want to slow it down and see what I do, then go over to my YouTube channel and subscribe. Tell all your friends. I'm going to be building my YouTube channel next year, and hoping when Santa comes with a new present for me, that I will hopefully be doing lives that will stream on YouTube and Facebook at the same time. You never know. But I hope you've enjoyed that. This is one of my favourite things to do, and just get messy. And can't wait to catch up with you, Rebecca and Karen. Thank you for watching. And those of you that are coming to the replay, I hope you really like it. Please comment, even though it's a replay. Please follow me, and I will see you soon. I think it's going to be too close to Christmas now to do another live, but I definitely will be doing lives next week sometime, once everything's settled down again. But Merry Christmas. Have a good, safe, and enjoyable Christmas, and hopefully I will see you all in between Christmas and New Year, or possibly in the New Year. Have fun, everybody. Bye.